Hello, everyone. Hopefully, everybody's having a wonderful day. Just gonna go ahead and make a quick video for you tonight. And this one is going to be based on a 317 chart that I have. Well, everybody plays 317, so I like to go ahead and make some examples with this one. And tonight we're going to be looking at some numbers here. We can choose a state. Let's take a look here. So let's pull this, and I'm using the lottery post here. So let's go ahead and make this. It's really huge, but the only reason why I have this like this is because every time I play the numbers, sometimes people don't see the numbers at all. It's because they come in really small. So let's choose a state. Um, let's take a look here. We did Texas yesterday. So let's try Florida. If you're in Florida, maybe this may be helpful. So Florida has a pick two, pick three, pick three. Let's see. Say pick, it's called pick three plus fireball. So it looks like Florida has two different numbers that are chosen every single day. So there it is. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna pick some random numbers today, and we'll go ahead and use that. So let's go back let's go to May. Maybe May might be a good time to use. So this is May 2025. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just look at some numbers and see if we can narrow down this idea that I have. So we'll go ahead and use maybe like 4 of these dates. So let's do from the 6th to the 9th. Go and copy this real quick and get it out of the way and post it here. There we go. Increase the size so that way we can see it. So the red is midday, and then the blue is evening draws. Okay, so this is May of 2025. Put May 2025. There we go. Okay, so the idea that I have here is we're going to be using a 317 chart. So this is a chart that I have. It's under the pick three rundown system that I have, which it comes with a story system. It comes with the chart itself, also a tip sheet. So if you use the full system, you can actually understand like what cold numbers are, hot numbers are, overdue numbers, and how many days they have been drawn. So then you have the option how many days you can look at it, how many draws you have. So if it's 40 days, 50 days, or the last 30 days, then I'll give you like the frequency of the what's overdue, what's not been played, and stuff like that. And then you can have your tracking. This is the tracking from the 0 to the whole 999. Okay, so it goes all the way down to 999. And then on the right side here is the pairs that has been played, the front pairs, the back pairs, and then the outside doubles. Okay, so that's what numbers have been drawn. So that way you can keep track of what has played. And so let's say if 020 has came up, but let's say you want to play let's say if you think the 020 is coming up again, you can choose one of these numbers instead of 021 directly. So that way you can try to get a direct straight hit. So that's what it's for. You know, like 223 has played already, 233 and 323. So let's say the next number you think is going to be coming up again, the 233, maybe play it as a 332. So that's the idea on that, just to keep track of your stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this back in place. There we go. And then this is another sheet that this is not on there, but this is what I was working on. And then this is the tracking area where you can track all your numbers. And if you track all your numbers, that way you know so when you look at your updates and numbers and histories and stuff like that, which comes in the rundown system itself, which if you play your dates, it has all your backtrack on the calendar on this side. So that way what number has played and what has not. So this is one of this sheet that I'm using right now is a testing sheet. So a lot of this stuff here is not on there. The main ones are on here. But this is one of my testing sheets that I use. So that, but they still have the data, just the system in the original sheet. And then it gives you like what rundowns to play if these numbers played. So that way, let's say if 005 came out, what rundown is best for them. So I have it all the way from 000 all the way to 999. So it gives you like a breakdown what type of rundown to use when those numbers play, just because of the idea how those numbers have come out. But that's what it gives you on this whole sheet. So, but I just want to share with you on that. But we're going to be just using the basics right now. And the basic is really using the story system itself. And the story system itself right here provides you all the data, what you would need. So let's say we play the numbers. For an example, the number I chose was 942. If I hit run, 942 gives you like the whole breakdown. That's single digits, what type of number it is. It's a single number. And then it's a sum of 15, root sum is 6. And what are the pairs for the 942? There's 3 different ways the numbers come up as pairs. It gives you all the combination for that 942 number, what the secret root of it is. And from here, the side is the mirror side of it. And then the flip numbers of the 942. So if you mirror the 942, it'll be 497, right? If you look at the flip numbers, if a 9 goes to a 2, 4 goes to a 7, and 2 goes to a 5. That's using the flip numbers, and it gives you all the pairs and stuff here too. Okay, so the way I played any type of numbers, like for example, I don't play the same day because I just don't believe it in that way, but some people do. But if you, like for me, I play midday to midday, night to night, so all these different ways. But it's cool. I mean, if you want to play that way, or if you have your own way. I mean, I'm not telling you to change or anything like that. It's just the way I play my stuff here. Okay. So, and again, this is for educational purposes only. I can't guarantee you a win or anything like that, but it's really the education side of it to understand how you play pick threes. Okay. And then on this side of it is whatever number that I put in there. It gives you a story mode, and it also provides you the rundown, what best rundown to play. Because this here, this rundown, the 649, comes from the data sheet. Because if you look at the number that came up on the under here was 942. So what I do is I go search down, and if I go for 942, 942 is right here, right? So 942 is right here, and it tells you right here 649 is the best rundown. So it pulls from here to pull it right into the front for you. So that way you don't have to go back and forth between the sheets. Just make your life a lot easier and have everything else right in front of you. So that's how this is designed. All right, so based off of the stuff that we have here, like let's say if you're playing the 942, the next day's number came up as 803, or the afternoon number was 691, right? So let's just copy this so we can go back and forth between the other sheet. That way we don't go back and forth here. I don't know if we can see it here. Let's put it down here. There we go. I can probably just move this up around here. Okay. See, so 642-803, 691-446. So if you would just base it off of the mirrors or the flip numbers, is there any pairs that match these? So 942, is there an 803? Absolutely not. Based off of the 942, there's no mirrors or the flip numbers there. The 691, if you put a 691 here, and let's run this. Now 691 goes to 446, right? Look, pairs right here, 4, 6, right? That's the pair, because this is the pair that is asking that it may come up with, and this one sure did. And if you go 803, let's go check 803. Go ahead and run that. And we'll go back down. 803 goes to 6161 over here. See if it's on the flip side. 1, 6 is the back pair of 6, 1. Okay. And if we do 4, 4, 6, right? So if you go 4, 4, 6, We run that, and the pair would be that one didn't match at all because this one's a 553. 553 doesn't go into 901 either, but it may go into the flip. So let's check. 553 is double zeros. It goes to 86. So that didn't work. But if it's a 661 or 161, this one is a pair 302. Nothing there. The only one that worked actually was the 691 to the the 4 the 446. All right, so but that's how this you can test it that way as well if you want to do that. But everything's different though. So what I'm going to play tonight is just really share with you how we can leverage this. But the main one I'm going to do is a 317 rundown chart. So the 317, how most people play 317 is they'll just play this portion of it and they'll try to pull numbers off of just one rundown. Like for me, I like to play the actual number and put the mirrors on both sides. Okay, so that way you see the pictures on both sides of the number. So let's try this. So let's do this. So we're gonna go ahead and play the 942. 942, 497, 497. And let's go ahead and run that. So now it's 317 apiece. So like if you play 4 plus 3 is 7, 9 plus 0, or this one goes by ones. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 goes down. This one is calculated by 7. So 7, 14, 21, 28, 20, 35, 42. These ones are all by threes. 1, 7, 3, 1, 7, 3, 1, 7. That's how this chart is put together. So the way I play this is, let's bring this number down here to this 2 into this box. And I always try to do it that way so you can see the bigger picture of this number. Okay, so whatever plays above or below, you'll understand. So this 942 needs to come down here. So we'll go ahead and do that. So this number needs to go in here. So 328, 873, 873. There it is. Now 942 came in this box. So now what I do from here is this the 942 here, I choose the number that ends with a 2. And what I have here is a 317 actual rundown itself. So the way I found this number is the 317 is 317. So if I put that down, it gives you the full numbers here is all right here. 624 931 248 555. So it goes all the way down. But the way I play this here is we're going to use this number here, the 942, but we're going to just use the 2. And anywhere in this chart here, there's a 2 in the third number, so which will be the 862. All right, so 862 is what we're going to be looking for. So whatever I find here, so let's highlight this. And then we're going to find the 862 somewhere in the whole chart that's all connected together. And often when I do that, you'll find your next winning number attached to this 862. Okay, so let's see if we can find, let's see if there's anywhere that the 862 is connected. So 862 is right here. So 8, what's going on with my mouse? Okay, so that's 8, what is it doing? I got a new laptop and I'm still trying to learn how to use it. I was so used to the Windows and now I'm using the Mac. And what is it called? MacBook. So it's a laptop. That's what I'm using. So I'm still trying to get used to the buttons and stuff. So just bear with me. Okay, so 862 is right here, right? So that's where this 862. 862 is up here too on the actual number. See? So if we highlight these as well, let's just base it off of the both charts. So what we highlighted here is up here, and what we highlighted would be down here as well. Okay, so if you go to 317, this is a block. This is also a block, and this is also blank, which they're all the same. Okay. All right, so 942 is what we're playing. So the next number that came up is 803. Okay. So let's go ahead and see if 803 is attached to this 862. So there's 83, but there's no 0 attached to here. There's a 03 on this side, and the other side is touching here, 803. You see it? It's attached to the 8 and the 6. Okay, so that's how this number played up here. So let me just highlight that for you. So 8, 0, and 3 is attached to the 8, 6. And or the other way around you can do it too, is sometimes I play it this way as well if you want to use the date. I know I'm going to go off topic here for a minute, but this is the 7th, right? So we're going to put the 7 in this box here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So the 7, so this 8, 7, 3, 3, 2, 8, 3, 2, 8. So that was, so where's the 942? So 942 is down here. So now the date is up here. So if you look at the date is here because it's 0, 7, 0, 7. And the actual number is the 803. 803, 803. And it's attached to the 7. Sometimes you can play it like that as well. But that's one of the ways I play it as well as the date. If you want to play the date, any type of numbers that's in the single digits will play in this column, the third column. If you play the teen, so let's say if it was the 10th, 11th, all the way to the 20th, it's going to come in this column here. And then anything above the 20, let's say from the 20th to the 31st, is going to play in these two columns here. So the date will appear there, and you'll actually find your numbers there. I'll show you here in a minute and see if we can narrow that down, that idea. Well, let's do it real quick. So let's go back to this calendar here. That way, so let's try the 16, right? So 406 was the 16. So, or actually, let me see. Let's go back. Or let's try the 548, right? So let me make it easier. 548 is on the 14th. So let's do 548, right? So now the 548 was on the 14th, so we're going to be looking for the 15th. So here's the date here. See, 15th is right here on the second column already. So let's bring this 5 into this box here, so that way we can see the full picture. So let's put 2, 3, 1, 7, 8, 6. 786. And there it is. So the 15th is here. So let's highlight the date. Okay, so let's highlight this date. Even though the 5 is here, the 15 is here. Okay, so the 15th was the number that came up. Let's go ahead and bring that calendar back. So the 15th is 909. Let's take a look and see if 909 is attached to the 15th. So the 15th is here, nothing. The 909, there's a 90 here. Then if I go down here, is there another 15th here? Nothing. So this one didn't really work, right? So 9090, but there's a 2 9s here, but there's no 0, so this might have been a 0. This would have been a 905. So this wasn't a good example. But sometimes it will be attached to this number here. Or it might be flipped around of the 5 is here. And if there's a 1 or a 6, it may be attached to that as well because a 6 can become a flip. Okay, so this one didn't work very well at all because yeah, I don't see any 909 attached to anything. The 90 is here, but there's no other 9s unless this is a 4, right? So it would have been 454 would have probably been the best number to play, but it's a mirror of 909. Okay, so let's try 909 itself. So 909, 454. 454. So 4909 is on the 15. So now we're going to be looking for the 16. 16 is straight here, or let's see, 16 is going back this way, but it's in the second column again. The 6 is here. So let's highlight the 6 there, and let's just erase this here. See, 16 is here, so we'll just highlight the 6. And the next number that came up on that is 406. 406. And it's going back to the 16 over here. 406, 16. See? And then here is the same thing. 16 to 4. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a 0. So 16 is here. So this was the number 406. So it would have been 460 up here, right? But it's also down here. So that went to the 16 to the 16. But it's played off of this here. Okay? I don't know if that makes sense. So if I take 406, 951. 951. All right, so that is here. Okay, so now the 406 came up on the 16th. So let's say the 17th is 778, right? 778. So now we're going to go to the 17. Let's find the 7 here. The 7 is right here. So let's highlight that. Make that yellow. So there's 17. Okay, so 778 is what number came up as. 787. Okay. 787. 17. Okay. See, 17 here, and this is a 17 this way. So the actual 17 is here. The other 17 is over here. And the number became here, here, and here. Or actually, yeah, so it's going to be these. It's not 788, it's 787. See? And it's on the 17th. So it's always going to play in the middle column if it's in the teens. So let's try the 30, like anything above the 20. So let's do that. Okay, so let's go to the 20s. So let's try the 22nd is 360. And then went to the 23rd is 579. So let's do 360. So we'll put 360, 815. 815. So now we're looking for the 23rd. So the 3 is way up here. So let's bring this 3 down to here. So let's put 360 into that blue box. So it's going to be 746, 291, 291. There it is. So now we're looking for the 23rd. See, 23rd is what we're looking for. And then we're looking for 579 attached to that. So the 23rd is here. See, there's 23 here. So we'll highlight that as yellow. And we'll put the 2 there. And the 23rd is up here this way. Okay. So now the number that we're looking for is 579. Is 579 attached to that anywhere? The 9, 7, there's no 5. There's a 9, 7, the 5 is right here in between. There's a 5, 7 this way. So if there's a 5, 7 this way, then we can check over here. Let's see, 7, 4, 6, 5, 7. Is there a 5, 7? But there's still no 9 attached to it. So the 23rd is nothing there. So, but this didn't work as I was planning for. But because there's no 9 attached to the 7 anywhere. Because there's a 9 here, but there's no 7 attached to it. There's a 7, 9, which is the 7, 9 here, but there's no, it's literally attached to this 0, because the 0 will become a flip as a 5, right? So this one would have been a 5, 7, 9, because the 5 is down here. That's the only way it would have worked. but it's still, again, attached to the 23rd and attached to the 2 here and the 3 here. So let's do the next one. So let's do the 579 itself. 579 024 024. Okay. So now we're looking for the 24th. So the 24th is right here. 2 and 4. All right, so we'll make that yellow. And we'll go on this side, and 24th is right here again. And 24th is right here too. The mirror number of the 579. All right. So the next number that came up on the 24th, we'll go ahead and go back in here, is 405. So we'll go ahead and go here, and there it is. See, 405. Boom, straight across. And it's attached to the 24 here as the 4. If I wanted that, if I would have went down here as a 4, it couldn't find nothing. If you went down here, is there 540 here? Nothing. But it's attached to the first number because it plays, the teens is playing in the 20s plays in the third column. Sometimes it plays it together here, but this one's playing off the 4, which is across. So always think about it when you play, like, look, if you're using the date, this is the singles, this is the teens, which is the 10s to the 20s, and then this is the 20s to the 31st. All right, so use these. So just keep that in mind how when you play, so that way you know where you're looking versus just trying to look all over the place. Okay, because if you were just playing this chart here, and is there a way that you can play get the 504? Nothing, because the 5 4, nothing. 5 4, there's no 0. See how it is? That's why I see the bigger picture, because the bigger picture of this is the mirror side of it. Because the mirror will always reflect back on here, because when you play any pick threes, you always find a mirror. It might be a mirror number, but it's okay. But yeah, I mean, that's how the whole thing works. Okay, so, but back to this training I'm supposed to be doing. I'm already almost 30 minutes in, and I'm going way off topic. So let's go ahead and look at some of these numbers. So we're going to use the chart here. So let's go back. Let's do 803, 358, 358. Okay, so that's the rundown that we're looking at. So that's here. So now this is the 3. Now we got to find where the 3 is at over here. So which one has a 3? So 793. 793 is what we're going to be looking for here. So 793 goes straight across right here. 793 goes straight across right here too. See, 793. But since you're playing the teens, which is the 7, I will probably play it off of this on this side versus this side. But we'll double check and see how it comes out as. So the next number that played on this one is 161. Okay, so let's see if there's anything that shows 161 anywhere. The 2 ones are here, but there's no 6 attached to it. The 6s are over here. There's no 1 across attached to it either, right? So this one was hard to get as 161 itself. But this would have played here. This would have been probably good, but there's a 0 here. If you would have jumped over the 0 here, you would have got the 6, the 161 here to get the 6. But that one didn't play out well at all. Okay, so let's try the next one. So let's try 161 itself. 161, 616, 616. Okay, so we'll do that. Let's clear this off. And we're looking for the 9, and we're going to be looking for the 1 on this side. So 931 is the main number. So there's 193 up here. So let's find over here. So 193. Okay, so this chart here is down here. So we'll see the whole bigger picture here. So now 193. So the next day's number is 302. Okay, so here it is. 302. 302. You see it? See, it's attached to the 193. and it went straight across. So that's how a lot of times they'll play off of these if you're playing a 317 that way. So it's pretty interesting how this whole thing works on this thing. But that's but if let's go ahead and try the next one. So let's try 691 146 146. Okay, so there it is. So now we're looking for the one again, right? So it's 931 again. So let's look for 931. So there's a 391 right here. So it's probably over here. So that's 391, 391. Right, so this whole thing here is down here too. So I want to see it because I want to see the whole picture like this, right? So now the next number that came up here is 446. Is there a 446 attached to this 391? It does. See, 446. Let's make it red so you can see it. Right, so 446 is attached to the 391. So sometimes it doesn't really attach fully in between. Sometimes it does. But again, look at this. This 391 is above. Oh, what did I do? I hit black. It's supposed to be red. Yellow, yellow. See, I cut across to the other chart. It was in the whole chart itself. 391 is literally attached to the 446. So it looks like if you were to actually highlight both, then it blocked it in for you, starting here and here. So, but that's how this one played out. So this one worked perfectly off of the 446, right? And if you would have played a date off of this one, you would have been way off because there's no 446 attached to the 7, right? So, but that's how this one played out. Let's go back to the next one. So let's do 446. 446, 991, 991. There it is. So the 6 is now 486 right here. You see it? So 486 would be the number that you'll be looking for. So now let's go back in here and see if anything in here by itself is 486. The 46 is right here. 46 right here, 486, right? So we're going to go ahead and highlight that. And the next number that came up here is the 553. Anywhere, is there anything that's attached to the 553 in this area? Nothing. 5, there's a 5, 3 here, but there's no other 5 except this 0. So there, the whole chart doesn't have a 5, 5, 3 at all. Oh, there is. Look, 5. Put this way down here. 5, 3, 5. Is there a 6, 8, 4 attached here? 6. So it literally just blocked it here. So all the 6 and the 4s. The 6. That's the only way that it attach. But they give us a, and the 8 is down here. So it kind of blocked it in for you. 6, 4. So that's the only way that it played out. 6, 4, 5, 3, 5. But it's 5, 5, 3. But it was going straight here. Did it give us anything at all? All right, but I found it over here too. But the whole thing, the 6, 8, 4 didn't play it all together. It just chopped it up. Okay, so let's try the last one. Let's try the 5, 5, 3, 0, 0, 8, 0, 0, 8. So now we're gonna be looking for the 3. So it's gonna be 7, 9, 3. 7, 9, 3. So let's do that. 7, 9, 3. There it is, 7, 9, 3. All right, so that's what we're looking for. So 793, the next number is 901. Is that attached to the 793? It does. The actual 7, the actual 9 is the main number. See, going downwards. Or it could have been right here this way, or down straight this way. There's three different ways it played out as 901. But it's always going to be attached to that, that 793 number if the third number is a 3. So, but that's how you play that if you want to play the 317, because otherwise you just be guessing here. And sometimes it may work. Everybody has a strategy. I mean, I watch several videos off of different people how they play, and sometimes I look at it, they'll be like, okay, there's a double here, and somewhere in the double, there's gonna be a double flip or whatever that they call it. Sometimes I see those, and they're like, I don't understand. Because if you have three different charts together, you can actually see the big picture versus just guessing and be like, okay, maybe I play this, I'll play this number up here, I'll play this number here. It doesn't make sense to me. All right, so I'll just try to keep it simple, but that's the whole idea here. All right, so there's one more thing. This one's the hard one. The hard one I noticed about playing this way is the fives and the zeros. There's a 0 or a 5 that shows up in these last column. A lot of times you might get it or you may not. So let me find a number here and play it that way. Let's try 0, 5 somewhere in the third column, or 0, the 405, or the 360. Right, so that we can choose. Let's choose the 360 first, and then we'll do the 405 afterwards. So let's see. 360 is the number. 360, 815, 815. There it is. So now we're going to find all the zeros. And if there's a zeros that are connected, a lot of times that's where the number will be, because we're looking at zeros here. So let's highlight all the zeros. So we'll start here, and we'll just find all the 0, 0, 0, 0. They're all scattered. They're not all bunched together. So this will be a tricky one here. So there's all your zeros, right? Okay, so now we got to choose. So the best way to probably play this would be probably using the date, because the date on this one, the 360, the date after that is the 23rd. Maybe choose the one that's closest to the 3, right? So the 23rd is here. Or you can choose the 23rd here and 23rd here. But then that's not attached to the 0 at all. 23rd goes this way. This one's attached to the 0 here. Okay, so let's do that. So the date of that is the 23rd. So we'll highlight that date as blue. Let's just use this here because I want to use this number here. Okay, so now the number for the next day that came up after the 360 was 579. And see if the zeros are attached to the 579 here. There's a 574. 574. Then on this side, 5. There's no 4s or 7s here. See, this one is all scattered. 5, 7, 9. There's a 5, 9 here, but there's no 7 attached to the 5 or the 7. So that's probably the reason why it's all scattered, is because the 0 is not going to work. Let's find, let's find another number that has a 0. Let's try this one. Let's try next month, the following month's numbers. I just seen one right here. 0. Let's go into June. Right here. 590. Let's try that. 590 goes to 752. 590. 045. 045. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing again with the zeros. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Right, so this one, these the zeros are all connected in this one. Let's see how this one plays out as. So the next number I said was 752. Is there a 752 attached to this? There's a 7, 2, but there's no 5. There's a 5, 2, 7 this way, but it's barely touching one of the numbers. 5, 7, 2 plays this way. So this one is, yeah, this one didn't work out very well either. There's a 5, there's a 7, there's a 7, 2, there's no 5, but the numbers came up here. 5, 7, 2 came up here, but the zeros didn't connect against it. So this one's not a good example either. So sometimes it does. So you just gotta mess with it, and that would be the same if you play the fives. So that's why I say the fives and the zeros are the hardest ones to play off of the third column, the second column, or the first. So my recommendation on those will probably just use the date, because if we were to use the date on this of that 590, so the next day was the 4th, right here, 04, right? So the next day's number is 752, still the same. 2, what about down here? This 572. The 4, there's 04 next to it. There's a 04 this way. 572. Then it should be 05 on this side or 04 on this side. Nothing. Yeah, so this one altogether is really just not a good number to play with this chart itself. There's a 05 right here. That's where it came in as. 04, 05, 527, then it should be a 6 up here. Yep. See, 6 are blocking them. So it's 1, 2, 3 steps. So it's a work in progress, you know. I mean, one of these days we're gonna crack the full code, and I can probably show you then when I crack the code and say, hey, this is how you can place where all the numbers are at. That's the goal, right? But I mean, we can always just play what we know. All right, so that's just a quick example for the 317. Hope you guys learned something today. I always try to just be educational for you guys to really understand how to play these type of charts, and just do your best when you play, and just don't overspin what you think is the best numbers, and always just practice, you know, maybe run some numbers and choose some numbers what's going to play, and just enter the numbers here. Okay, so but that's the whole video here for today. So if you want to get a copy of this chart, yeah, it should be in the description below, and get the full system for yourself and start practicing on your own, because this is the best way to use rundowns, because the chart itself comes with all the runs down, the different rundowns that you might use. You know, some people like to use the 111 rundown. You can just change this to 111 rundown, and it automatically configures for you. If you want to use the 123 rundown, it automatically configures for you. You know, and then if you do the 317, the 649, or the 369, the 777, 999, some of these are all popular charts. So if you whatever works for you, just go ahead and use that. You know, like my favorite chart is this, the 888. I did a video yesterday on it, so if you go back check on the 888, it's really powerful. Check that one out. But if you have any ideas, or if you want me to use a different chart, a different rundown, let me know. I mean, I can always try to make a video out of it and see how we can learn together. Sometimes some people like the 777. I mean, everybody's different. I think the 777 is pretty cool too. And down is just like the 888. You gotta go to the 7 and the 8. Find the next number will be the 7 and the 8. Let's do an example. So let's try, I don't know, let's just do a different number here. Or let's just use the same number. So 590 goes to 752, right? And the 7 is here. So I use the outside numbers. So the 7 to the 8, right? Somewhere in between here is going to be the number. and the number is 752. And there it is, look, 752, 752. That's pretty interesting because it's always going to be from here to here. Wherever you find the 8 and the 7, it's going to be the numbers that will appear between them. Even if I would do, let's say, 752, 207, 207, right? So now the 7s and the 8 has moved. Let's clear this off so the 8 is over here. But the 7's here and the 8's over here. But we're supposed to use a 7 here and the 8's supposed to come here. So the 8 is down here. So let's just highlight this as let's say if there was an 8 sitting there, right? So the 7 comes from here. So the 7 to the 8 goes there. So anywhere somewhere between that is the next number that would populate. Actually, I'm doing it wrong because the 7 is over here because that's the actual number. So let's get rid of this one. So it's going to be here. Somewhere between here, there's going to be a number that the next number will populate. Right, so somewhere between this box. So the next day's number is 953. Is there a 953 somewhere? Attach here. There's a 95, and then there's a 3 down here against the 8. Right, so I mean, here is 93. Then there's a 959. So jump over. So, but that's how this one. But if we went 7 to the 8 this way, it wouldn't have had to have it. But it's always like the third column to the next column is where it's going to play out, but it's still showed here, right? But this extra 9 here threw it off. So let's try the 953, 408, 408. So now let's take that and find the 7 over here. The 7 is right there. And the 8 is way up here. All right, so it's way up here. This one's a stretch, but let's see. Because this is a huge box to play right here. So let's see, 953. The next day's number is 589 right here. 953, 589. So let's see if 589 is anywhere between this box. Let's see. 589 goes this way. It's attached to this 8 here. And it's way off. 589. So sometimes it works. So 589 is going across here. Goes back to the 7 over here. Maybe it's supposed to play it that way. 589, which is the 8's down here. So, but yeah, so like I say, just keep practicing, finding out what type of ways you can play. It's not just one way to play. You know, everybody says, oh, you gotta play it this way. Oh, you gotta flip it here. You gotta mirror the number here. Sometimes I don't even flip the numbers or mirror the numbers because it's already been done here in the chart here. Okay, you already mirrored the numbers yourself. So now you don't have to play, you just put the puzzle together. Just think of it as a Rubik's Cube. You know, Rubik's Cube, when you flip it, then you have to put it in place. Same thing here is just a combination that you're trying to solve. Okay. All right. Well, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, just share it. Like the video itself. If you have questions, put it in the comments. But if you'd like to get a copy of the sheet, it'll be like in the description as well, so where you can purchase it. I got it for sale, so you guys can use it too. Okay. And then, so that's all I have for you guys right now. You guys have a wonderful night. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Bye bye.